Northeastern China. Spring comes late to Heaven Lake. Snow and ice still cover this volcanic crater. But the forests at the foot of the mountain are turning green. The streams are full of meltwater. The rivers here are the breeding ground for the Chinese merganser, a rare duck native to China. There are fewer than 3,000 of these birds left in the world. They are returning here from overwintering in the south. Unusually for ducks, they nest in trees. And within weeks, their eggs have hatched. There is no time for rest. Within 24 hours of leaving the eggs, they have to leave the tree and make it to the river nearby so they can feed. It's a stark choice. Stay put and starve, or venture out and face the many dangers on the way. They have to go into the world when they are at their most vulnerable. A duckling would make a fine snack for a hungry mink. The more daring chicks begin their climb to the nest hole. An unknown world awaits. The river is full of the food they need, but first they have to get to it. China is a vast country. It contains an amazing variety of landscapes and climates. This has led to an extraordinary diversity of species. Many are unique to China, and all depend on its habitats for survival. As one of the few mega-diverse countries in the world, China bears a huge responsibility towards maintaining biodiversity on the planet. A number of these species are under threat. Work is underway to counter that threat. It's a race against extinction. Xinling, the mountain range that marks the divide between North and South China. With a 3,000-meter range of altitudes, there are 5 distinct climate zones here, making these mountains one of the richest homes for wildlife in China. In May, the monsoon arrives, bringing warmth to the temperate forests here. For the Sichuan snub-nosed monkeys, this is the best time of year. These infants were born just a few weeks ago, but the male infant does not belong to this mother. His mother has gone foraging, so this female is acting as a nanny. The whole group is enthusiastic about the arrival of infants. They fight to lavish attention on them, though it can get a little rough. There are over 100 monkeys in this group, divided into 8 families. Each family is led by an alpha male. Generally, female infants are treated better than male ones. It's the females that keep each family prosperous. And it's only the females who can stay within the family once they are grown up. When the males reach adolescence, they are thrown out, and most often they will join a separate bachelor group where they will have to prove themselves. But all this remains in the future. 1,000 kilometers away, on Baimar Snow Mountain near the Myanmar border, another group of snub-noses are entering their breeding season. This male infant is just 3 days old. He doesn't venture from his mother's arms. These are Yunnan snub-nosed monkeys, and they are the highest living primates in the world. Their territory ranges to over 4,000 meters altitude. They have pink lips and a mohawk-style stripe of dark fur on their heads. All snub-nosed monkeys have these distinctive up-tilted noses. They are an adaptation to mountain life. They maximize the monkey's oxygen intake at altitude. Spring is a time of plenty on Baimar Mountain. The monkeys spend over 1/3 of the day eating fresh leaves and buds. As the seasons change, so will their diet. But one item remains a staple on the monkeys' menu: lichen. The lichen they favor grows on the trees here and requires a damp and cool climate with clean air to thrive. Come the winter, it will be their only food source. Generally, the birth rate is low among snub-noses. The infants are given the best start they can. They are all born in early spring. This helps them survive. They spend the most vulnerable months while the weather is at its best and food at its most abundant. It's a time to learn. It's a time to grow. And above all, it's a time just to relax and enjoy family life. The volcanic soil below Heaven Lake is very fertile and encourages the growth of thick primary forest. It's an avian paradise, an ideal breeding ground for migratory birds. Chinese mergansers have always nested in natural tree holes near the river, but there they are vulnerable to predators, and often they lose many of their eggs. To improve their chances, researchers have been putting out artificial nesting places. They are more secure than many natural tree holes. The mergansers have accepted these artificial tree homes, and more chicks are being produced every year. 20 hours have passed since the first chick hatched. The ducklings are going to need to feed soon. Before they leave the nest, the mother scouts out the territory. The mink changes position, trying to hide from her. But she's not going to let the chicks leave until the coast is clear. Once the mink has left, the mother lets the ducklings know they can move. Time to leave the nest. The mother drops down to protect the chicks on the ground. Soon they have all made their first journey to the forest floor. The dangerous trek to the river begins. The vast forest where the mergansers are breeding is one of the first nature reserves to have been established in China over 60 years ago. China has since established over 10,000 nature reserves, covering 18% of China's landmass, well ahead of the UN's targets. They provide an opportunity for endangered species to flourish. Among them, mergansers, which are beginning to go up in numbers. The family have reached the water, but that doesn't mean it's safe. Other female mergansers can turn into enemies. A challenge means a fight, and the prize is the chicks. This kind of battle is common among mergansers. The winner takes all the ducklings. It makes up for any she has lost herself. And it's not a problem for the ducklings, which happily go with the winner, whether or not she's their biological mother. This time, the mother wins. Next time, who knows? This female was not so lucky. She lost her ducklings. She has been calling for them for days. They're here. But they're being guarded by the female who took them. The mother tries to get to them. But the new mother quickly spots the sneak attack. It makes evolutionary sense. The strongest females provide the best protection. It's a strategy that has helped ensure the survival of the species for over 10 million years. Whatever the outcome, the ducklings will be well looked after. A female from another species faces a different kind of family trouble. These are red-crowned cranes, living in wetlands close to the border with Russia. The weather is getting warmer, and the other cranes are already flying north. Her mate has lost half a leg and finds it hard to walk, let alone fly. Red-crowned cranes are monogamous. So if the female is going to have any offspring this year, she will have to stay with her mate. They choose to build their nest in a secure spot on an island. Generally, red-crowned cranes only lay 1 or 2 eggs. The cranes take it in turn to incubate them. With her better mobility, the female is able to feed more effectively. But one day, as the female returns to the nest, she finds it abandoned. Only a few traces remain of the male. Unable to get away, he has fallen victim to a daring badger. The female will have the responsibility of raising the chicks on her own. Being a single mother is tough. Although there are only 2 chicks to feed, the mother must leave them to fend for themselves while she finds them food. With no partner to protect them, like their father, they could easily fall prey to predators. Snub-nosed monkeys have evolved a different strategy. They maximize the chance of their offspring surviving by looking after them as a group. With the young being looked after by nannies, the biological mother can feed well and produce enough milk to nourish her babies. The 2 young Sichuan snub-noses are doing well under this system. They're exploring further afield now as they grow in confidence. And they're becoming more agile every day. Another endangered species makes its home in the Qinling Mountains. The golden takin, a distant relative of the sheep. There are just around 5,000 of these stocky takins left, living at an altitude of between 1,500 and 3,000 meters. In the spring, they descend into the lower valleys. The infant takin may nibble at a few blades of grass, but what it needs most now is milk. The mother may not always be available though. This is her chance to stock up on high-quality nutrition, which she won't find for the rest of the year. While she is off eating, the other females in the herd take turns looking after the kids. They are all gathered together in a kind of nursery. As spring turns to summer, the temperatures rise. The takin's thick wool equips them to survive the harsh mountain winters, but they quickly become too hot in the summer valleys. They start to seek out milder temperatures higher up the mountains. They move uphill as a herd, several families climbing together. For safety from predators, the infants and their mothers stay at the center of the herd. It's a long slog, especially for the little ones. But the cool mountain heights will be their reward. When Asian elephants are on the move, they adopt a similar formation. The dry season is becoming longer thanks to climate change, so the elephants move deeper into the rainforest. They are led by the oldest female in the group, and there is just one infant, a female, born to the matriarch herself. She is just a few months old. Asian elephants tend to be matriarchal, and their herds consist of females and young only. The males leave the group as they approach maturity. The leader, as here, is usually the oldest in the group and is very much a working mother. So her baby is often taken care of by the other females. Her mother doesn't have enough milk to feed her all the time. The hungry baby turns to another female. But no luck here. This female is too young. On to the next adult. This female has an older calf and is still lactating. She has something to spare for the new baby. The Chinese mergansers are less cooperative when it comes to child rearing. A single mother can end up looking after dozens of chicks. It's training time in the water. There are plenty of rocks to practice diving from. Some of the ducklings are a bit more hesitant about jumping into the rushing water. The mother is quickly onto them. Once they're all in the water, it's time to learn how to be a duck. She quickly demonstrates dabbling. Pretty soon, they're all at it. If they're going to survive, they're going to have to learn to dive and fish. This isn't so quickly learned. She's a strict teacher. She grabs them one by one and ducks them below the surface. It may be a bit rough, but it's effective. Within weeks, the ducklings are comfortable diving under the water. Diving has become a way of life. Even if not every dive brings up a fish, it's an important life skill. A nature reserve not too far from the mega-city of Shanghai. Things get altogether more violent when it comes to the Père David's deer. 5-year-old stags clash to see who will lead the herd this year. For Deer Society, a powerful leader is paramount. Being eligible doesn't mean that the challenger will win, even if he is younger. After a brief clash, he's sent packing. The Père Davids, or Milu deer, were hunted to extinction in the wild in the 19th century. An English aristocrat was determined to save the species. He collected surviving deer from zoos across Europe and established a breeding herd in his deer park. From 1985, small numbers of the deer started to be reintroduced to China. They are now re-establishing themselves. Over 2,000 of them roam wild in their homeland, and 7,000 more are to be found in protected herds. Every summer, the males battle it out for leadership. The winner has sole right to mate with the females. His genes are passed on to the next generation. The young challenger has not given up. He starts another duel with the leader. Young males play fight. It won't be long until it's their turn to scrap it out for the leadership. This time, the battle is more finely balanced. Finally, the challenger's persistence pays off. He sees off the old leader. The old leader gallops into retirement, or to mount a comeback challenge next year. The new leader is now Lord of the Harem, and only he can mate with the females this year. This genetic filtering ensures the strongest genes in the herd are passed on every year. For the elephants, there is no harem, and there are no power struggles in the herd. There are no adult males at all. No bulls can approach and even fight for access to the females. This dense rainforest has always been their home, and they have to know how to negotiate it safely to meet all their needs. the leader shows the way. It's her responsibility to find the best routes through the forest. Her mother was leader before her, and she not only inherited the position, but also her knowledge of the rainforest. She has to retain all the routes they have taken in her memory, so she can lead them where they need to go, year after year. Skillful improvisation is also important. Climate change is making watering spots harder to find. After a long trek, she has brought her followers to a new watering hole. Things aren't always peaceful in the herd. She has to manage the social group as well as be the pathfinder. This young male is becoming something of a troublemaker, picking squabbles with others in the herd. The leader recognizes the signs. It's time for this young bull to go his own way. She lets him know his new status quite firmly. It's the way of the Asian elephants. Mature males have to leave the herd. Not that he's particularly willing to go. In the end, he gets the message. Time to start a new life on his own. Maturing males are also unwelcome in snub-nosed monkey groups. Here, though, it's the alpha male who throws them out, before they become a direct threat to his position. For the young males, it's a new phase of their lives. It's an opportunity to form new families with other females and bring genetic diversity to the species. Survival for species where numbers are low is challenging enough. Human activity also has a negative impact, particularly on habitats. Individual countries are taking action. China has a long-term plan to build a network of nature reserves centered around national parks. Once completed, it will be the largest national park system in the world. The first 5 national parks cover an area of 230,000 square kilometers and include nearly 30% of China's key protected land wildlife species. These protection measures are showing results, as some endangered species populations are beginning to grow, and some species that had vanished have begun to re-establish themselves in the wild. The Ailao Mountain National Nature Reserve in southwestern China. The green peafowl, a cousin of the more familiar blue peafowl, clings on here. They are native to China and distinguish themselves from the blue peafowl by their green chest and neck, and the shape of the crest on their head. These birds are solitary and spend most of their time on the ground. There are only some 600 individuals left, scattered about these few mountain valleys. Unable to fly far due to their size, they are quite vulnerable. They prefer dry habitats close to water, undisturbed by humans. They're known as dragon birds locally because of their iridescent colors. They need a pristine habitat. Their diet is varied and includes flowers and fruit, seeds and insects, including termites, crickets, grasshoppers and beetles. If they need to, they can fight. Their strong legs are armed with spikes and claws. Their home is protected, and ranger patrols ensure they remain undisturbed. Conservation workers aren't just there to protect endangered species and their habitats. Through observation, they are learning more about their behavior and their precise needs, all so they can provide better support for the species. Just a few hundred kilometers away is another protected area, the Wulianshan National Nature Reserve. This is home to the western black-crested gibbon. Of the 1,500 remaining worldwide, over 90% are to be found in China. Every morning at 5:30, rangers enter the gibbon's territory. They are there to monitor and track them. Rangers are chosen from local groups living at the foot of this mountain range. Their ancestors were hunters. Now they are using the same skills to track and protect animals that were prey for previous generations. They make detailed observations of the gibbon's behavior. The raw data is then fed back to conservation scientists so they can better understand and protect the species. The gibbon's family unit consists of one adult male and one or two adult females. The males are black, the females are lighter color. In the dense forest, where visibility is restricted, the gibbons communicate through song. They possess a special sac in their throats which changes the tone and increases the volume of their calls. They can be heard 2 or 3 kilometers away. Every morning the gibbons sing in a dawn chorus, each group having its own calls, which helps strengthen their family bond. Sometimes the rangers initiate the songs themselves. Once the gibbons start to call back, they can be located and tracked that much more easily. The gibbons are mostly arboreal, rarely coming down to the ground. They can move astonishingly quickly through the trees, so fast but they are known as winged monkeys in the local dialect. Sadly, this agility has not helped them escape from hunting and environmental change. Now it's up to the rangers to protect them and gather important information. The rangers' duties also include collecting fecal samples to keep track of their health, diet, and any parasites they may have picked up. The gibbons have grown used to the rangers' presence. Sometimes the rangers bring their own children with them. The boy can even call to the monkeys using his own voice. The next human generation is growing close to this endangered species. They are the ones whose job it will be to ensure that this species continues to thrive in this forest. All species on this planet are interdependent, even the human species. As humans, though, we have a great responsibility. Just as we have destroyed habitats and endangered species, so we can restore and protect them. This is already happening around the world, including in China. But there is plenty more to be done. A few months have passed, and the Chinese merganser ducklings have fledged. They are taking daily practice flights. Soon they will be migrating south for the winter. This bird has survived many environmental changes and geological disasters over the last 10 million years. If all goes well, they should be able to survive another 10 million. Whether or not this happens lies in our hands.